Hello again, my lawyer friends. Rule 1.8.1 is called business transactions with a client and pecuniary interests adverse to a client. It is another rule that can lead to discipline and malpractice for the unwary if you don't know it exists. So make sure you watch this video to the end, share it with others in your firm, subscribe to my channel, and buy my book. An important point that is not stated in the rule, but it's clearly implied and also clarified in the comments to the rule. Rule 1.8.1 involves business transactions such as acquiring an ownership stake in a business. It is not referring to the business transaction involved in a lawyer's business, such as when the client retains the lawyer. That is, unless the retention involves taking an ownership interest in the client or other pecuniary interest adverse to the client. With that clarification in mind, Rule 1.8.1 provides that a lawyer may not enter into a business transaction with a client or knowingly acquire an ownership or other interest that is adverse to a client unless three criteria are met. All three must be met. First, the transaction must be fair and reasonable to the client, and the lawyer's role in it must be fully disclosed in a writing that the client should reasonably understand. So, as an attorney, you can't just look out for yourself in a deal with a client. You have to make sure it is fair to them, and you have to be completely transparent about the terms and your involvement. The comments clarify that fairness and reasonableness are measured at the time of the transaction or acquisition, not with the benefit of hindsight. Second, the client must be independently represented in the transaction by a lawyer of the client's choice or has to be advised in writing that they should be. The comments clarify that an independent lawyer needs to be truly independent. And factors that cut against independence are whether that lawyer has a financial interest in the transaction or the acquisition, and whether that lawyer has a close legal, business, financial, professional, or personal relationship with the lawyer seeking the client's consent. So you can't just refer your client to a friend or colleague for independent advice and assume that that would be okay. Third, after the lawyer's disclosures, the client must provide informed written consent to the terms of the transaction and the lawyer's role in it. This means that your disclosures can't be included in the deal. They must be provided first so the client understands the terms of the deal and your involvement. And they have to have an opportunity to get independent legal advice before giving written consent to the transaction. What counts as an interest adverse to a client? According to the comments, when a lawyer possesses a legal right to significantly impair or prejudice the client's interest without a court action. The comment clarifies that the rule does not apply to a lien in a contingency case. A few additional points. This rule can apply to transactions with former clients in some circumstances. For example, where the former client is unsophisticated and trusts the lawyer due to the past representation. This rule does not apply to an agreement to represent a client or to pay for future legal services and costs unless that agreement includes another transaction that would be governed by this rule. This rule does not apply where the lawyer and client both invest in something, provided that the thing they're investing in is available to the general public or a significant portion of the general public. This rule does not apply to standard commercial transactions, so a lawyer can purchase goods or services from a client on the same terms that anyone else could. What it boils down to is that yes, You can make a deal with a client or that's adverse to a client, but you don't stop being their lawyer during that deal. You have an obligation to make sure they're fully informed and that their interests are protected.